Hi everyone, this is Mohan. I'm co-founder of CEO of Axiom. Thank you so much for the response that I've received last month. Helps me keep going. Let's quickly get started on this month's updates and my perspective around it. The most interesting one and the most important one is that there is a 0 day that is identified on Microsoft Office that is used to execute PowerShell. That means basically anything that a PowerShell can do in your Windows laptop or device. If you have Microsoft Office, then you are vulnerable to this attack. Basically, the attack talks about running PowerShell commands using MSDT, Microsoft Diagnostic Tool. And generally, we are cautious about opening Microsoft DocX or XLSX, which involves macros. We all know that. We're generally cautious around macros. But this 0 day is very interesting. It's executed when you import a library. For example, if you open this Word document which has a predefined library or a template, if you download a template, then no permissions required and it gets executed. And it could give root access. And there are many videos now on how to fix this. Microsoft has released a patch for this as well. The researchers who identified this is Kevin Beaumont. He explained that in the blog. It's worthwhile to check the blog as well. Here is a blog article. They're calling it Folina, the 0 day. This is a very interesting vulnerability that could give access to hackers if you have a Windows laptop and if you have Office installed on it. Patch it right away. Then we have a ransomware attack that happened on a non-profit organization. We generally think we are a small company, we are a not-profit organization, and hence no one will come after us. But a ransomware attack happened on Chicago Public School, and there was a downtime, and most importantly, students' information from 2015 to 19 was lost. It was lost through a vendor called Battle for Kids. It's also a non-profit tech company that basically stores the information of Chicago Public Schools students. They got hacked. Apparently, they got hacked in December, but they notified CPS very late in April, and CPS disclosed it. Takes me to an interesting story that happened in India. There is a new framework that is coming in place in India and for Indian companies, that you have to report a breach within 6 hours. This is very powerful. You see here, it took them 4 months to basically disclose it and fix it and do whatever, right? The breach, the slower the breach information travels, the higher the hackers benefit. So Indian government has released a framework that makes Indian companies to disclose the breach within 6 hours to certain. I think there were stories around going back and forth on this, and I think the policy will come into effect. It's a great policy to have. Then we have Australia, Tasmanian super fund that got hacked and their data was exposed. It was a simple phishing attack because of which an email account was compromised. Then it's very obvious that the mailbox would have names, addresses, ages, email addresses, phone numbers, etc., etc. But Spirit Super has confirmed that other important details, other private details which are not generally associated with data that is stored in the servers, etc., is not compromised. So it's an interesting thing to see big organizations like Spirit Super still getting attacked by phishing attacks. NIST has released a updated cybersecurity supply chain risk management practices for systems and organizations. This ransomware attack happened because CPS was using Battle for Kids. Whether it is a not-profit organization, enterprise, etc., doesn't matter. what NIST suggests is if you are using software and software vendors, who could be a third party, who could be your vendors, who could be part of your supply chain, this particular framework will help you basically integrate a supply chain risk management into the risk management. This is a long paper. It's very interesting on how this framework can be used to create various policies, various plans, various controls, and there are tool sets also that are provided by NIST, and there's a template also that can help you basically get the framework implemented in your organization. Moving on, we have one of the biggest bug bounty paid by a blockchain DeFi called Wormhole. We are all aware how crypto and blockchain companies are targeted by hackers, and they're benefiting faster. And having bug bounty programs like this, shows a sense of confidence that we can have on the blockchain products and services. Wormhole DeFi Bridge rewards 10 million to Satya 0x. I tried looking at his tweets, etc. I couldn't find much, but I started following him. You should too. It's good. It's a great vulnerability to find. Recently we have observed that there are Log4j vulnerability and Log4Shell vulnerabilities that came in VMware products, especially Java Spring frameworks. There is also a new vulnerability that came up, and CASA thinks these vulnerabilities could lead to even bigger attacks like Log4j and Log4Shell. There isn't much information around it. The vulnerabilities are logged. They have a 9.8 score, which is very, very high, and 7.8, which is high. The products that are impacted in VMware are Workspace ONE Access, Identity Manager, vRealize Automation, Cloud Foundation, and vRealize Suite Lifecycle Manager. Any of you using any of these products, you should patch these vulnerabilities as soon as VMware releases them. VMware only disclosed them on May 18th. I couldn't find much information on the patch side of things, but this news clip is a wall clip as well. Then there's a very interesting story of how a 55-year-old cardiologist started selling ransomware tools as a side gig. They included Jigsaw and Thanos Builder. These are two types of ransomware toolkits that you can basically use to launch ransomware. He was basically multitasking. He was targeting his patients and basically advising the dark web actors on how to basically make them a victim easily. So it's very interesting how non-techies can actually leverage dark web and affect drastically. Then the European Union targets standardization across the countries, and there's a fair bit of consistency and standardization that NIST is looking at, which is EU's cybersecurity wing. And there are a few more updates around that, and it should facilitate GDPR compliance as well. We also have Heroku cyber attack that Heroku has released in April. It runs deep, and thank you for listening. Stay tuned for next month's updates.